wait about 5 or 10 minutes before we get going. You know?
We're alive.
Yeah. Jackie.
No, it's from Media Commander, actually.
What is it really?
I'm a subscriber.
Oh.
Well, at least till today when I unsubscribe. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody that's here. We're going to wait a few minutes and hopefully more people show up. But we've got a ton of questions from Tim that we'll get to in a little bit.
Right. We had some people asking me how I pick various components. That's a tough question, but basically I pick the cheapest one that I think will do the job. And if it has good reviews on Amazon, I kind of like the Amazon review system. If, you look at the bad reviews and see what they're complaining about, and then you can decide for yourself whether that's like a valid thing. If the complaint was, oh, it didn't arrive on time, or UPS ran it over the fork truck, it's like, well, okay, that's not a problem.
What are you talking about? Reviews?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about what we were talking about just a few minutes ago.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Before we came on, we were talking about, I was talking about the van and what I wanted to spend money on as opposed to like what I didn't. And you're now saying that you use reviews
to decide
to determine
whether the cheapest one is one that I can live with.
I gotcha.
Because you can spend pretty much as you want, but do you need to? And my thought is, you'll look at the reviews. And but
a lot of people say Amazon reviews are fake though, so you need to watch out for that.
Some of them are.
Yeah. And the sellers will put fake ones on there and pay a program. There's a program that actually does fake reviews.
Cut it out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, you can Google it right now, and there's tons of stories, and it was a big controversy for years.
Huh.
Yeah. And
but if
so basically saying that the review system is rigged.
I can
on Amazon
see why I could see the incentive to do that. But you can usually, if you actually read the reviews, you can sometimes tell if they're fake or real. But I never read the good reviews because
those are the fake ones.
They don't tell me anything anyway. It's like, oh, I love this product. Okay, big deal. Yeah. I usually read the bad ones and see why people are complaining. Like I said, it's because, it didn't come on time or it was damaged in shipment. It's like, well, okay, that has nothing to do with the product. So if it's like, it worked for a month and then quit, it's like, well, that's significant. So
yeah, you kind of need to know that. I do that too. I look at the bad ones. I always just instantly click on the bad ones.
Yeah.
Because I don't really care about the good ones.
Right.
Kind of like tonight with dinner. A review means nothing. It's like you want to hear the bad things.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I solar technologies come a long way. The panels, what were the ones I bought?
The solar panels?
Yeah, what's the brand? They're
I don't know. I got Windy Nation. I think you may have bought Renogy.
Monology? No.
Renogy.
I don't have that one. I have the other one. 8QST or something.
I don't remember that brand.
Whatever it was, they go just over $100 for 100 watts, so $1 a watt. This is, compared to like a few years ago or a few decades ago when I was thinking about solar, that's way down in price, and they work way better.
Yeah. And they're going to be even smaller in the next few years, guaranteed.
Right.
Now they're huge. It's going to be like how calculators used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I remember those.
I never had them, but I remember seeing like an abacus in the attic and some of the big brick like adding machines.
Yes.
And that you probably used maybe when you were young, or maybe they had used it when you were young. Maybe like the adults were using it. And now you can basically have a calculator in your watch.
Right.
I think solar panels will be the same.
My phone, like everybody does.
Yeah.
When I started college, we had slide rules. The reasoning being that calculators were still expensive. They were like $300.
Oh, really?
And this was when $300 was worth $150. So
slide rules. Yeah, I've never actually used one.
Slide rules. Koi Filinessa, yeah.
Cool.
But quickly the price of calculators came down and everybody switched to calculators, and that was the end of the slide rule industry. I'm surprised the government didn't bail them out.
What, the slide ruler companies?
Yeah.
All
Too
right.
big to fail.
Well, it's been about 5 minutes, so we might as well get started here. If you didn't watch our video today, we have Harry here, and Harry lives here. We're in his cabin, actually. We're here at Mediocre Manor out in you don't even really have a name for the cabin, but it's his off-grid piece of property out here. Cabin.
I call it a cabin.
We haven't named it yet. It's the cabin.
I have one in New Hampshire I call the camp so that I can keep them distinct in my mind. This
okay.
one's the cabin. The one in New Hampshire is the camp.
The camp. I gotcha. The cabin.
This one a lot easier to drive to than the one in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So
the one in New Hampshire's out on like a dirt road. You almost kind of have to take a 4-wheeler to get out there.
Right.
But it's cool.
It's unmaintained road.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's neat.
It's nice and quiet.
And tomorrow you're leaving. So we thought that maybe we did a couple videos that we haven't really put up yet. And so we'll show the updates in the other videos when I have a chance to edit them and kind of get them up. But tonight we're going to hopefully get into some questions. I wrote down a bunch of questions that people have asked on the videos over the past few months.
Okay.
And then there's a few questions on the side over there. But where would you like to start?
I don't care.
All right.
Wherever you
one question that keeps coming up, and I wrote it down because I saw it 5 or 6 other times. A lot of people wanted to know about the inverter that you used. And I did find that you said you had ordered the Sun Gold Power 2000 watt,
right,
6,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, and then somewhere you said that you thought that was like a knockoff or something.
I think
brand.
Not so. I don't think it's a knockoff. I think there's a company making these and wholesaling them to people who do a different paint scheme and then sell them as their own. So there's it's like one company making this inverter,
like private labeling.
Right.
But kind of like the same thing. Like anybody can go and put their name brand on it, but it's the same thing.
But it's the same product.
Okay, where did you get yours? Amazon?
Amazon. I get everything from Amazon.
From after reading the reviews?
After I read the reviews.
Did you get anything not on Amazon?
Only bits and pieces that I wanted to obtain locally. It's hard to collect everything in a place where when you're not there all the time. So I buy on Amazon, I ship it directly to you.
Yep. And then we hold it until you get here.
You hold on to it till I get here, and then I have it all on hand. And some of the stuff is hard to get locally. But if you need screws, if you need clamps, if you need wire, you can get that locally. So
that's what you'll wait and get that kind of stuff locally.
If I don't know ahead of time what I need, like the solar wire, the MC4 connectors that all go together.
Oh yeah. Well, those come with the panels, right?
They come with pigtails, but then you got to, but the pigtails are usually short, a couple feet. So then you need to get it from your roof to your equipment shed.
Oh, right. So how did you handle that headache? Because I'm sure other people are having the same headache. I didn't have it because I just had put it from the van inside.
Right.
But you're saying anything more than like 5 feet.
Yeah, you might need to order. You can buy it already assembled. You can buy the bare wire and put the connectors on yourself, but that's kind of a pain in the neck. So I usually just buy the number of feet I need, in this case, like 50 feet times 2, because you got to go one way and you got to go back the other way. You got to have, the positive and negative. So, but they're nice because they just plug together. They just, start plugging them together and sooner, until you get where you need.
And what are they called? Pigtails? Solar pigtails, or
no, they have their solar cables with the
connection,
with the connectors, the MC4 connectors already on them, and the significance of those connectors are they have an O-ring in them. They're sealed so water doesn't get in.
I got you. Those are the longer looking ones, almost like a pen or something. It looks like a big pen with like a right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And there's a male and female, so each panel has one male, one female, and then you buy 2 wires. And the wires have a male on one end and the female on the other. So you just start snapping them together.
And it's just a waterproof connection. It's nothing really solar related.
Right. It's waterproof, and the cable has UV resistant coating, so that
Okay.
because it's going to be out in the sun, and you don't want you don't want the insulation falling off in 6 months.
No, you don't want that. So that's a good answer. So Sun Gold Power 2000 6000 watt pure sine wave inverter.
2,000 watts is enough to run any one thing in your house, except your stove. Any one 110 volt thing. So it'll run a microwave, it'll run a power tool, it'll run a compressor, it'll run a toaster.
Well, what's the 6000 peak mean?
That means that for a short period of time, and I mean real short, 6 or 10 seconds, it'll handle 6,000 watts, meaning you can start up a motor like in a compressor.
Okay.
A lot of items with motors have high startup current, and you don't want the thing to just like cut you right
Crash
off and say, "Oh, too much."
And then it's all done, and you're out of luck, and you're out in the middle of nowhere.
So they advertise that as 6,000 watt peak, but don't plan on doing that for more than, like I said, 10 seconds.
That's the 6000 watt. Okay. I'm going to ask you a couple of these questions, and then I'll have a couple of my own questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Marino, he was the first one in today, and he wrote a bunch about wiring. So his first question is, how did you determine the gauge of the wires going from the back of the inverter to the solar panels? And did you just answer that?
No. I didn't.
You told them you used that kind of cable, or no?
Yeah,
The
but
solar
the kind of cable and the gauge of the cable are different. So you got to match the gauge of the cable to the current you're expecting to go down the wire. And there's a chart. You can just look it up on the internet. How much current can you put through what gauge of wire? And it's an inverse thing. The lower the number, the more current. So 12 gauge wire takes more current than 14 gauge wire. It's inverse. The smaller the number, the more current will go through it.
So how did you determine yours?
So if you look at the back of your panels, you'll see a figure called, it might be
the back of the solar panel.
Yeah, there's a sticker, and it tells you some things, and one of them is short circuit current, which could be abbreviated to SCC. Short circuit current, meaning if you just connect the two friggin' leads together, how much current is going to flow out of the panel? And it's going to be something like 6 amps. But I got 2 banks, so I need 12 amps. So 12 amps will easily go through a 14 gauge wire. But turns out most of the solar wires that you see are 10 gauge. So it's and that's kind of important, because the longer the wire, you start to lose some of your solar down just to the wire itself. Because there are transmission losses. So 10 gauge is what they tend to make them, and that's bigger than 14 gauge. So that works just ducky.
Yep. So overkill is good in that case.
Yeah, I think
you could always upgrade.
Yeah, if you go to the chart and look at the 10 gauge wire, it's probably good for 30 amps, I think.
Are these charts everywhere? You just Google it,
yeah, wire gauge
chart.
Gauge versus current chart. It's on the internet. Okay. It's everywhere.
There you go. Wire gauge versus current chart. He also asked, did you set the solar panels in series or parallel? And what kind of cable wiring did you use? So I think he's back.
Well, we did answer that. We used the right out of the box purpose-made
cables that came with them.
Yep. Yeah. And what was the first part of that question?
Did you set them up in parallel?
Oh, both. I set them up in parallel and series. I have 10 panels on the roof, and I have 2 banks of 5. So I got 5 in series and 5 in series, and the 2 banks of 5 are in parallel. That doubles my amperage from the approximately 6 to 12, and it 5 quintuples my voltage from. So the other number on that little sticker on the back of your panel, besides the short circuit current, is the open circuit voltage. This is going to be what you measure across it with your voltmeter when the thing's looking at the sun on, at noontime, but nothing is connected to it. And that voltage is going to be way more than 12. It's going to be like 22 volts. So, so the 5 panels in series is going to give me potentially 22 times 5, which is 110? 120? Wait a minute. 5 times 20.
I didn't really
105, yeah, 120 volts. Now, in fact, when I go look at my controller, I routinely see numbers over 100 volts. because of those 5 panels. It depends on how much sun there is, obviously. And it depends on what time of year it is, and it depends on how dirty your panels are, and it depends on how hot your panels are. They work better when they're cold, strangely enough.
That is weird. You think that it would be the opposite.
But unfortunately, there's more sun when it's hot. So
pretty good answer. And the cable wiring that you used for those was just the one that came with the solar panels.
It comes with 10 gauge wire with MC4 connectors already on it, and then you buy more of that wire to reach where you need to go.
And you got that? You purchased that from Amazon, just a regular coated solar panel wire.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying? Like you just kind of put an Amazon solar panel wire?
That brand might have been Renology or
I think it's Renogy, Renogy. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. It's something like that.
Putting an L in there where it doesn't belong.
I think you are, but I could be missing the L.
And then there's Windy Nation, and then this is probably another case of where it's the same manufacturer, and they're just branding it. But the black holds up better to the sunlight than the reds. Just
interesting.
FYI.
Didn't know that.
But then you got to keep in your own head which one's positive and which one's minus. So
maybe put a little sticker on the end or something.
Right.
All right, we'll do a couple more questions and then we'll get back to little updates. We had somebody just ask one. Okay, Grace Pedraza, how are you tonight? Do they have restrictive building codes in your state? And you're actually building out of 2 states, so
yeah,
you're here in ours. We're in Florida here, and
boy, here we go. This is going to be a little tricky. I don't really pay that much attention to building codes.
Yeah,
I do what I want.
Yeah.
Now that could.
Well, that's not the question.
I know. Here in Floribama, in the Florida Panhandle, I don't think they care that much. I see some stuff that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I think what we've noticed living down here is that it has to do with whether or not you're in the city limits. I think they call it, like the city limits. If you're downtown in the historic district, then you need to follow all their rules, and they're going to be right on top of you. But out here in the country,
right,
it's pretty much like anything goes. There's gunshots firing all the time, and people living in campers and trailers and tents, whatever you want, as long as you're not out there where the public can see you. But they do have pretty strict codes. It's just they don't really seem to enforce them out in the country here in Florida. How's New Hampshire?
Same thing. It's the same thing. They have their codes and they kind of want you to follow them, but they don't have the personnel to check up on that. But the reality is I try to adhere to the code.
Absolutely.
They don't pull these codes out of thin air.
Right.
There's reasons behind them. They don't, they're trying to prevent people from burning the houses down. And you can just download that. That's the National Electrical Code. Just download it. It hasn't quite caught up with solar yet, though. It's kind of interesting. You read the National Electrical Code and they're like, yeah, with respect to solar stuff, it's like, well, maybe, this is probably a good way to go. They're really not up to speed on solar.
Behind the times there a little bit.
Right. So, but the obvious things apply. Switches and breakers, size breakers protect wiring and fuses. So size your breakers and your fuses to the wire you're using. Have switches and breakers so you can shut stuff on and off. The fire department will really appreciate that if they have to come out to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Although they've adopted, I got a buddy who's on the fire department. They bring canvas with them and they cover solar panels if they have to go on the roof, because you can't shut them off. When the sun's on them, they're making electricity. There's nothing you can do except make them dark.
Yeah. So, you could cut the wires.
Well, but then the wires still have, and the panels still have power on them.
That's true. So you could then hit yourself where you cut the wires.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You
might as well cover them if they got to go on the roof. But anyway, and then
what was the question? Oh, codes. We're talking about codes, right?
Right. So go to Google the National Electrical Code and try your best to follow that, and you can't go too far wrong.
Right. Yeah, as long as you know something about it. We have not dealt with building inspectors, because like Harry said, all of our stuff is just way out in the woods.
Probably on his way here right now.
Yeah, hopefully. Did I have the address back there somewhere? I hope not. Hope that we're completely anonymous here. Do our best to stay that way, anyways. Today before the video, we were at 498 subscribers. We actually lost one today. I don't know who it was. He's gone now. He or she is gone now. But if you have a second to like the video, we'd appreciate it. We're trying to pass 500. That would be really good if we could do that tonight.
Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff. It's not just the cabin. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here on the farm. You know?
Yeah, and hopefully we can start to share a little bit more of that.
Right.
And then I really want to get up to your cabin in New Hampshire. We went this summer, but we forgot, or maybe we just didn't get to it. I don't know what happened. We didn't record or do any video at all, so we missed that. And do you have internet up there?
Yes.
I wonder, do you really? Oh, you do?
They just built a new cell tower up there.
So maybe we could do one of these while you're up there sometime.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? If you have like a laptop or maybe a phone or a tablet or something, we can figure out some way to do that. That'd be pretty neat.
Joe worked from up there for weeks and weeks.
Okay.
Right out of the camp up in New Hampshire. And it's 15 minutes to the nearest paved road.
But they've got internet for them.
Well, because you put up a tower, and if you're in the right spot, you get stuff from the tower.
Grace, did we answer your question all right? Let us know if you had any more details for that we didn't answer. Welcome, RG Homestead. That's a cool name. We're going to have to check his channel out tonight.
Okay.
Maybe tonight we'll take a look at that. He's asking, I have one I wish is filmed. I ran a 110-volt compress off my garage. System total was 190-watt solar panels and a cheap Harbor Freight inverter, and he's had no problems. So I don't have any experience with Harbor Freight inverters, but didn't you buy something from Harbor Freight for your build? Where did you get your generator from?
No, the generator came from Amazon. The compressor came from Harbor. My air compressor.
Oh, I couldn't remember. I thought that we had something to do with Harbor Freight, but
we did your whole roof with that.
No, that was from Lowe's.
Was it really?
Yeah, the compressor was from Lowe's.
Oh.
Or Home Depot. I remember that.
I mean,
there's one about batteries.
Harbor Freight, they run hot and cold. You know, some of their stuff's pretty decent. Some of it's not. But sometimes you don't want it to be good. You just want it to be cheap because you only need it once. So there you go.
Question about batteries. I boondock in my RV and it has the basic Napa deep cycle batteries, which is probably what you have, similar to what you have, that are down to 12 volts by morning. Which type of deep cycle battery will hold a charge longer?
Okay, it's not the type of battery, it's the amp hours of the battery. But 12 volts isn't that bad.
Sounds like it says batteries.
Okay.
So he might have two.
But the amp hours are going to tell you the total amount of energy you can store. So if you want to have more in reserve, you just need higher amp hour batteries or more batteries because the amp hours add up. So if you have a 100 amp hour battery and you put another 100 amp hour battery, now you got 200 amp hours. So maybe one more battery. Right, but 12 isn't that bad. I mean,
so let's talk about a 2-battery system.
Okay.
Let's say there's a 2-battery system in that RV. Okay. What would be bad? You're saying 12's not that bad.
12's not that bad.
What's the range?
The range is float voltage. the voltage your controller should hold your batteries at when they're fully charged is like 12.7. 12.7? No, 13 point something, 13.2 or 4.
Okay, and that's fully charged.
Right. What was mine?
Ready to go.
27. I got a 24-volt system. Yeah.
We were at 27.
27.6. So, so half of that would be 13.8. Yeah, okay. 13.8. So 13.8 is fully charged. That's the float voltage, and then 12 is still more than half. I think there's a chart. 10.5 is dead as a doornail. You're going to be hard pressed to get any more energy out of your battery if it's down to 10.5. And it's going to go quick. It's gonna, it's not linear. It's gonna go down, 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 down,
It's gonna crash.
crash.
And where would it start to do that?
At 10.5. At 10.5.
Oh, you're saying once you're at that point, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
You better watch out.
You're dead. And like we said the other day, you don't want it's the deep discharge of batteries that shortens their life, even if they're real deep discharge batteries, the real deal. It's the number of cycles down to a low state that determines their life. If you're taking them down 50% and back up, 50% and back up, they're going to last 5 years or more.
So 12.7, 12.
12's
not a big deal.
12's all right. That's the nominal voltage of the battery. I mean, I'd have to pull up the chart to see where that is in the.
And what chart are you talking about now?
The chart that shows you the voltage versus the charge.
Voltage versus charge chart.
Correct.
Okay.
It's on the internet.
Okay.
And
I've never seen anything like that, but that would tell you.
Because it's not zero. You might think, oh, my battery's discharged when it gets to zero. No, it's discharged when it gets to 10.5. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there.
No.
But that's based on how much energy you can extract from the battery. So so the 110 amp hours is going to be when it's at float, 13.8 or 13.8. You're going to get your 100 amp hours if it's a 100 amp hour battery. But then as you start drawing energy off the battery, at some point, 11.8 or something, you're going to be at 50%. And now you've used half the energy that's in that battery. And at 10.5 volts, you've used 100% of the energy in that battery.
Wow.
And it's going to crash suddenly. Your lights are going to just blink out.
And can you charge the battery back up after that? And
you can, but the more times you do that, the shorter the life of the battery.
Yeah, you've said that 100 times. You always say that.
Right.
And she's saying the night starts at 13.7 and by morning.
Oh, yeah, that's the number we were talking about,
13.7 at night. By morning, somewhere it said 12.
Right.
Up there.
Yeah.
So, and you're saying that's okay. So the question was, which type of deep cycle battery will hold the charge longer, leading me to believe that 12 scares them. So what could they do
it's
not 12 by morning?
It's not the type, it's the size of battery or the number of batteries. You need to get your amp hours up.
All right, right. So, and you can do that by adding more batteries.
Yeah, adding more batteries or switching to bigger batteries.
Because then the power that you're pulling off is going to spread itself over 3 batteries as opposed to 2.
Correct. Well, right. I mean, it's like putting another gallon or 10 gallons of gas in your tank, right? It's like, oh, how can I keep my gas gauge from reading half full after driving for 5 hours? It's like, well, get a bigger gas tank.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
And so with the 2 panels, they'd be fine as long as they had sun.
Batteries.
Well, I'm saying the 2 panels can charge 3 batteries as long as, well, it shouldn't really be a problem. They can charge 2 batteries fully by morning or by late afternoon. Should be able to handle 3. At what point would you have to upgrade your panels as well?
When they don't charge all the way up by the end of the day.
Oh, so you just keep adding batteries, and when you notice they're not filling up, then you're like, okay, time to get more panels.
Right. The batteries take care of when there is no sun, and the panels replenish the batteries when there is sun.
Okay.
So when there is no sun, if you're getting your voltage down too low, you need more batteries or bigger batteries. If they don't get fully back up during the time when there is sun, then you need more panels.
Okay. And so if this, say the 2 batteries are in a spot where you can only really fit 2 batteries and they don't have an option to do 3, 4 batteries and keep upgrading, you're saying that there is potentially a better battery you could buy.
Sure. Yeah.
To fit those 2 spots.
That
and what might that be?
Probably is.
Like a golf cart battery or something, or
golf cart batteries kind of go the other direction. They're trading size for deep dischargeableness. True deep discharge batteries that you can really suck them down and bring them back up, and their life doesn't diminish. Tend to be bigger batteries than than
Like the deep cycle ones at Walmart. I know what you're talking about, like the regular ones.
The deep cycle ones, the marine deep cycle ones
Marine
at
grade.
Walmart aren't true deep cycle like golf cart. They're like hybrid. They're half car battery and half deep discharge battery, but they're cheap and they do pretty good if you don't beat the crap out of them. Golf cart batteries, you can beat the crap out of.
Oh.
That's what's in your little 1970s thing over there.
Those are golf cart batteries?
Well, they're not necessarily golf cart, but they're true deep cycle batteries that were probably expensive.
Yeah, too bad they're dead. Those are in the video that we did today. He's talking about the 1970s travel trailer. And we did briefly show those batteries.
Right.
But we haven't tried to charge those up yet.
And by the way, when you do your batteries, they all need to be the same size and type and the same age, because what happens is if the batteries are different, either because they're different brands or different sizes or different ages, then they're not going to spread the charge equally, and that's going to shorten the life of the other batteries.
Interesting.
Yeah, you want to keep them matched. Your batteries should be matched, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm wondering if anybody else in the chat has problems with building codes or battery issues. Harry, I wanted to ask you earlier, because I'm sure everybody's wondering, how come your outfit never changes?
It does.
You're always wearing like a boonie hat and green shirt.
I don't have the boonie hat on.
No, you don't have it on right now.
I do have the green shirt.
What's with the outfit, Harry?
Okay.
There's got to be a story.
I don't like to think about what I'm wearing. Yeah. So I have like 5 pairs of tack pants. This pair happens to be a little different in that they're like dark blue.
Oh wow, the whole tint just changed. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Neat.
It was
the blue pants.
That your computer was embarrassed that I was showing.
Right. It's in emergency mode, shut down.
But these are tack pants because they have a lot of pockets. I keep the same things in every pocket every day.
Right.
I have a million of these green shirts.
That one's actually a little bit different.
It is.
I was surprised to see you come in with that today because I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I don't know where this came from. Is it Under Armour or something?
I'm not sure. His shirts usually have all kinds of like holes from him wearing them for years.
Oh, those are my
work shirts.
Those are the ones that my nephew got me from Camp Lejeune, the PX down in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Just cotton, olive drab cotton shirts. It's just
you don't want to think about your
I don't want to think about my outfit. I get up, I put on my tack pants and my Thorlo socks and my olive drab shirt, and off I go.
Okay. I had another question to you also. What do you do for fun when you're not working on the cabin?
Well,
or what does Harry like to do?
Interestingly, I like to work. So working on the cabin is fun. Working on your house is fun. Working on my house in New Hampshire is fun. But when I'm not doing that kind of fun, I hike mountains. I've hiked all of the 4,000 plus footers in New Hampshire. I have a Hobie cat, so I sail boats.
Oh, right. Yeah, you got that recently.
Yep. I walk with my wife. We like to take long walks.
And she's camera shy. We haven't seen her yet.
No.
I tried to get her a couple times yesterday, and she ran. She
away.
Giggled and ran away.
She ran away. She's but she's not mountain shy. She hiked Washington and Jefferson with me this summer. Those are the last 2 I needed to do to finish off all the 4,000 plus footers. Also hiked the 2 tallest in New York State and the tallest in Maine, and a few in Vermont, and some in Colorado and Hawaii and Alaska.
So you like being outdoors?
I like
exercising.
being outdoors. Yeah.
And you also run.
And I run.
You did a couple one race this trip here.
I came down. Yep, and we and Matt's wife is my daughter.
Yeah.
That's my son-in-law.
Yeah. You almost said father-in-law.
No,
I heard you say
the other way around. But I come down. I run with Steffi. We started our training with. Well, she'd been training. I started my training with 3 runs with Steph, and then we ran a half marathon.
It was hot.
She kicked my butt. Then we did some more training runs. Then we ran I did 14. She did 16 miles. That's how fast she is. She can do.
She's a fast little woman.
At the same time, I can do 14. And we did a track workout.
Lots of exercise. And then in between that, he manages to work on all this stuff.
And then I still I call it self-unemployed. I'm still self-unemployed. I have a little business machining, and I machine parts for a limited number of people.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep me in beer money.
Custom parts. It's too bad you don't have a website or anything, because Harry's the kind of guy that can get you out of a jam, which you've got us out of a couple of jams. Parts we can't find, or situations that we can't find a part for. He can make it.
Right. Steffi put
pretty cool.
In. She had a little tiny bathroom in her house in Massachusetts, and to get it to work, she found these antique bathroom fixtures, which were just a little bit smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But good luck finding parts for those.
Well, you made them.
Well, we spun them up in the machine.
Dad has a machine shop. Yeah. Did you make anything custom for this camper or cabin?
Yeah, the rail system that mounts all the solar panels. I just
right. Yeah, see, I never participated in that. I've still never been up there. We should have gone up there.
On the roof.
Well, I helped you do the shingles.
You helped me shingle,
but I didn't do nothing to do with the panels. I helped you get the wire through the dirt. That was a pain.
Oh, digging the trench and then,
yeah, because you put the
the conduit.
Yeah, it was conduit, but it was getting stuck. Remember that? And you called me out because you couldn't get it through, and I don't remember how we solved that, but it basically came like 20 feet down the roof.
Yep.
Probably 3 feet down underground. Probably another 20 feet, 30 feet out to the cabin or the storage shed.
Right.
And it was getting stuck. Pretty much it would go all the way through, and then it would get stuck on the last curve up.
Yes.
I remember that. That was about 2 years ago.
But we got it.
Big pain in the butt. We did get it.
We got it.
Let me drink some beer.
Oh, yeah, you got to drink beer.
What's your favorite beer? And then we'll get back to the questions.
Wow.
What?
Okay, so
I know what your type is. You like IPAs.
I like IPAs.
Right.
You're right. I love it. This is Torpedo Extra IPA.
Yeah, I don't have the bottle here.
Sierra Nevada. I just happened to have one in the fridge.
Yeah.
These guys should be paying me. Sierra Nevada Torpedo.
Yeah.
But at home in the People's Democratic Republic of Massachusetts, I have a system, my own taps. I got a kegerator. I got which you helped me build. You see, you were the expert on that. The beer system.
Yeah.
So I got a kegerator. I keep 2 kegs in there. 1 keg of Mayflower IPA from Plymouth, Mass, and 1 keg of Smutty Nose Old Brown Dog for friends who don't like IPAs. And I got taps up on the bar. I got a bar that I built.
Yeah. We should do that place too, but that's not really off grid. So
it's not.
You really light up when I brought up the beer.
Oh, it sure the hell isn't off grid, but man, I'll tell you.
It's got nothing to do with off grid, and he's all happy now.
When it's like 5 degrees outside, we got a fireplace, which I built.
No fireplace here.
No, we don't need one here, but up in Mass, you need one. We got a fireplace in, I call it the tavern. And so you sit in front of the fireplace with your draft beer from my own little taps, and
life is good.
And life is good, yeah. So we should do that system as a video, because that's another thing people probably wonder. How do you build yourself a draft beer system?
Yeah, I did look when I was building mine on YouTube, and there's a couple videos, but nothing really.
But it's awesome. Cool. Just, the only downside of your own draft beer system is you can't count the bottles, and so you don't know. The next thing you know, you're like face down on the table.
It's been 2 days.
It's like,
$200 is missing from your wallet.
Yeah, right.
And the keg's empty.
Like,
what the hell?
What the hell happened? I don't know. I just had 1 beer, so I only got the 1 mug. Must have been 1 beer.
I think that's all the questions that I wanted to ask you about your outfit and your beer. This guy also had one more question, and we talked about this before, but this guy wanted to, Tim wanted to use his inverter to feed the grid again.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Remember that? That was one of the first questions.
That's called a grid tie system, and you need a grid tie inverter, and I don't know anything about that.
No.
You probably need permits up the yin yang for that.
That's probably like the companies that come in and do it for you. They'll finance you, and they'll hook it all up for you.
Unfortunately, Tim, I don't know anything about grid tie systems. It's I do know there's a difference between an inverter that's off the grid and a grid tie inverter. The good news is that the electric company then has to pay you for the excess electricity you generate.
I've seen that. It sounds like a pretty good deal. Like they'll pretty much give you the panels. you sign a contract with them because they're going to make more money feeding the system or getting more power back from you than you'll actually use most of the times. But I think they make you sign up for like a 10-year contract or something or more.
Yeah.
But I don't really know about it, but I've seen that.
I get suspicious of that because if they can give you panels, they got to make money. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts.
Well, they're not your panels either.
Oh.
You don't own the panels. You're basically leasing them your roof.
Oh, okay.
That's how it goes. From what I know.
Right.
But I don't know how it's set up. All I know is there's a big box on the side of the house that looks like your breaker box.
Right.
So it's some sort of transfer station.
Yeah, they're all over the place where I live as well, but I'm suspicious, and I've heard mixed results about those. If you have your own private system, you get the subsidies. See, it's still not cost effective if you could connect to the grid. It's only cost effective if you're far enough away from the grid that it's going to cost you thousands to bring power to you. So because even with the government subsidies, it's really so. All right.
So you're saying they probably wouldn't even entertain the fact out in New Hampshire. They'd be like, yeah, screw you. We're not running all our stuff out there because you're too far away.
Oh yeah, they'd have to run a half a mile of poles and wires and stuff. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen.
They're looking more for people in the developments, which I see a lot.
Right, and they're probably making their money off the government subsidies. That's my guess. I don't know that. I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
they got to make money. They're not charity. So grid tie systems. I don't know
about that. How about we talked about the inverter. If you haven't done it yet, please give the video a thumbs up. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers today. I can't see what we have right now, but we started the video today. We had 498. So if you have a chance to hit the subscribe button, what we'll be doing in the next few months, we have a stealth van build that we're not really going to do all the details, but we'll show the progress. We're going to visit a stealth van build that's in progress, and we'll be going this week. It's a guy that I know named Richard. He's building a Dodge 3500 van. He's making it a stealth camper. So we'll be going to visit him this week. I'll show you that. And my sister is here. She's got a Dodge, I think it's a 2500 van. We'll be doing that soon. And we also have the 70s camper. That's an off-grid camper travel trailer. So we'll be doing that soon too. So if you have a chance to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, you'll be seeing all that. We won't have as much from Harry until January, when he'll be back. What's coming up in January here? Today, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't, but there's a sink over there. And we're going to be putting up another video soon, but the kitchen, right? You're kind of working on the kitchen this trip. I was working on
the kitchen this trip, which involved, because we had a bathroom sink, because Mrs. Harry's #1 requirement for any place we live, a real bathroom. Yeah. She's not too into outhouses or going in the woods or whatever. Although she's a trooper. She's been on a lot of overnight trips with me. And at one time in our lives, 3 little kids out in the middle of freaking nowhere with 3 little fussy kids. So she's a trooper. But you
really like that toilet too.
I love that toilet. That's a great toilet.
What is it?
Nature's Head.
Right, so you basically build the bathroom and throw one of those toilets in there, and everything's good.
And away you go, right?
Yep, you've got a total functioning bathroom.
But before that, you can buy a toilet seat that snaps onto a 5-gallon bucket, and that works in a pinch. So,
well, that's what we do in the van. We have a little we have a van. It's not little. It's a 350 extended van that we use for traveling, but we have like a boat toilet in there.
Yeah,
it's not a composting toilet, but it's basically a bucket that you use, and then it's got like the little push handle that kind of just filters the water down.
Right.
Dump it when you're not using it. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's not that bad.
No. The secret really is throwing a bunch of organic material in the toilet. So you can use a friggin' bucket if you have another bucket full of peat moss, and you need to throw enough peat moss in on top of whatever you put in the bucket to create basically a biofilter that just contains the smell.
So that top layer of peat moss keeps everything underneath.
Yeah.
From smelling, and keeps it so that it can work and compost itself.
It'll start, yeah.
start
and
the
then
process.
And then you can add it to your outdoor compost, and there's a whole book on that. There's the Hugh Manure Composting Handbook. If you're going to go down that road, you want to read that book. So,
Hugh Manure Composting Handbook.
Yep.
And that is a composting toilet. Costs about $1,000.
Right.
Nature's Head.
Nature's Head.
You've got 2 of them now, and I asked you yesterday if you would recommend that for somebody in a small area like an RV or a camper, and you said you think it would be fine.
If
no
you
smell,
got,
right?
There's no smell. No smell out of these things. Nope, they smell less than your regular flush toilets. They really do, because, well, for 2 reasons. One, the organic material really absorbs smells. 2, you got a continuous vent to the outdoors. Except that in the New Hampshire one, I haven't hooked that up yet, but it still doesn't smell.
The vent.
Yeah, still doesn't smell. Even with the vent not hooked up, it's venting basically into the room, and you still don't smell it. Which is unlike a regular toilet where, the courtesy flush, you gotta.
Yeah.
So
those can smell.
So they're expensive. It's a little bigger than maybe not. Maybe not even.
I don't know. That's a pretty big issue when you're building an off-grid home. Power.
Yeah.
Is huge. That's why everybody focuses on solar panels and batteries first.
Right.
It's like, what are you going to do if your phone dies or if you can't turn a light on?
Right.
Right. And then the other thing that's pretty important is water.
Yeah.
You do rainwater collection.
We do. Yeah.
And
I need more
filters,
collecting ability. I need more storage.
More storage. And the last thing is everybody needs to use the bathroom.
Yep.
And so if you're not into black tanks and gray tanks and all that stuff, it seems to me that composting is the best way to go. I don't know why more people don't do it.
And this book,
even people with homes.
I mean, I have the book in my backpack, but
I should take a look at that.
It's
I haven't read it yet.
The guy's from Pennsylvania. He's been doing it for 30 years on his own little farm. I should know his name, but I don't. And he wrote the book, the one and only book. And when you read the book, it's like, yeah, every house in America, nobody should be flushing their toilet fish down the pipe with drinking water. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then you think that your municipal facility is going to compost it, but they don't. I
always wondered what they do there.
They more or less evaporate it and then collect the sludge, and then they sell the sludge to somebody who then, does something with the sludge. But
like composts it?
Not.
Or maybe they spray it on cornfields.
Right. Maybe.
Back out in Amherst, when we went to school out there, every single, I think it was spring or fall, the whole town, it was a farm town, it just smelled like shit.
But see,
and we're always like, what is it? And there'd be these big trucks just spraying. They would drive through the fields and spray just like brown liquid all over everything.
Exactly.
I wonder if that's where they got it from. I don't know, but
it shouldn't smell. There's no reason for it to smell. If you
do it right.
If you do it right, it won't smell.
Like what you're saying.
What do we have anything else? I'm looking at the.
No, we don't have any more questions there. We have about 10 minutes left.
And then what happens?
And we're gonna call it a night. We're going back inside to get more alcohol.
Oh, I got some in the fridge.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to stay out here all night. I know you probably do.
I don't care as long as I still have beer.
I wanted to ask you, what made you you just did this about a year and a half ago. So what made you want to build an off-grid home?
Oh,
because you never did. When you were living in Massachusetts, you built some pretty cool structures on your home. You did like a 3-story workshop, wood shop, garage, and all that stuff.
Right.
But now we're talking, I don't know, like 60-something years old. All of a sudden, you decide you wanted to do this. Do you know what happened there? Where that came from, or what started it?
Are we gonna really go there?
Well, I mean, briefly.
All right.
Briefly. Like I said, we have 10 minutes left. So
we had. There's really. Okay, I've always wanted to live in the middle of nowhere. Actually, people would say that. Oh yeah, you want to live in the middle of nowhere? And I'm like, no, I want to live where you got to drive an hour just to get to the middle of nowhere. So this is so that's been a dream of.
Because you don't like people.
Because I don't like rules.
Oh, okay.
I don't like rules. People are okay. A lot of people are okay. Especially down here in Floribama. People are much nicer down here. Up in Massachusetts, everybody's pissed off 60% of the time.
Because there's
100%
snow,
of the people are pissed
cold.
off 60% of the time. Yeah, because they're cold and they're crowded and they can't get to work on time because there's traffic and
Snow.
snow.
And it's dark.
And it's dark.
It's cold.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you,
So I've always wanted to be able to get away from, as far as I need to get away from people. That
maybe why you like hiking.
Maybe, yeah. Everybody you meet on a hike is a nice person because they worked hard to get there.
Right. Yeah.
And they're too tired to be pissed off.
All right. So you just decided this maybe was like a retirement plan or something you always wanted to do.
Well, then you and Steffi started this little mini farm, this little down here, and I look out in the corner of the lot and I'm like, hey, I could fit my cabin down there. So you
always had it in your head.
So I had it in my head.
I see now.
But then the political climate in Massachusetts started to change. And I'm like getting real nervous that they're going to just kind of clamp down on me because I'm not a rule guy. And it seems like that's all they do is think of new rules for non-criminals to live by while they let the criminals run rampant. They don't try to restrict the criminals. Oh, suspended sentence. Oh, 3 months probation. Oh, drop the charges. And meanwhile, oh, Harry, you need to do this and you need to do this and you need to do this. And I'm like, I need a place to escape. And
so this was your backup plan.
This is my backup plan. This is when I need to say, okay, I'm done. Get in the car and drive here, and I'm done with Massachusetts.
And then at some point you decided you needed a backup to your backup plan.
Well,
New Hampshire.
Because it's closer. and the place I'm in New Hampshire, they really got no rules.
New Hampshire, it's way out.
Yeah. We have a full-time police chief and a part-time officer, and unless there's gallons of blood pouring out somewhere, they ain't coming.
They couldn't probably.
And they probably
if they wanted to.
Ironically, my niece's husband is the ambulance driver for the area. I say ironically because they don't live that close by. And I said, well, what happens when I call up, and say, this is the big one, Elizabeth, He's like, well, first it's going to be 20 minutes before we get to your town. And then we're going to have to get the fire department in there with a brush truck because our ambulance ain't going in there.
No, you can't even get out there. I could barely get out there in my big van.
So it's like, like they used to say, what you do in a case like that is you bend over, you grab yourself squarely behind the knees, and then pull hard, get your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye.
Okay. That's one way to put it.
Because help ain't coming, but no. the signs are on the mountains.
Well, that's one thing I like about living here. There's nobody here.
Right.
Like right now, I'm looking out the window here, and it's just pitch black. We're completely fenced here. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and honestly, if we needed an ambulance or fire or a police, it's gonna be a while. And when I first moved here, I thought it was kind of weird, and I maybe felt a little bit uncomfortable about it. It's almost like maybe the feeling you get when you hike a few hours out, and there's nobody around.
Nobody.
It as cool as it is, there's something in your head where you're like, okay, there's really nobody here, and then you kind of have to think about it.
Yeah.
At first, I was a little nervous about living here, but now I just love it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't beat it. It's worth the risk.
Well, you're that kind of a person. If you're an off-grid, independent kind of person, you can tolerate a little of that. I mean, in the place I live in Mass, they take care of everything. They collect the trash and they collect the leaves off your trees.
Yeah, the brush.
And the recycle and the brush.
Just put it up by the
and they got, police cars up and down the street and they plow all night long on overtime. If there's a flake an acre of snow, they're out there,
They do. They have a lot of salt.
They salt and, oh man, it's like.
So I get it.
It's.
You just want to be away.
So that's for the people who want a lot of service from their government. I'm like, leave me the hell alone. I don't care. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I live on a road that's not maintained by the town.
Okay, so you built this cabin.
Yep.
The one in New Hampshire you bought.
I did because it already had a house on it.
Which one do you like better? The one you custom built or the one that somebody else built that you were able to walk into?
Definitely the one I custom built. The problem in New Hampshire was that even though it's New Hampshire, live free or die, there's rules. And if you buy if I bought a raw piece of property, then I got to start with the building permits, and some towns won't let you build a house on an unmaintained road because they're like, oh, the fire department can't get there, the ambulance can't get there. And I'm like, shouldn't that be my problem? You know, it's like, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like I said earlier, it's 15 minutes to the nearest paved road.
I like it.
So
This guy wants to know how big your backup generator is.
oh, what is that? A 30?
I don't know. It's a propane. It's a
dual
propane.
fuel. Yeah, it's dual. It'll run on
Is it?
gasoline or propane.
Where did you buy that thing?
Amazon.
It's on Amazon, of course.
Um,
After reading reviews, it's yellow. That's what I know. We've never used it. It just sits out there.
Yeah, we used it when we were working on your gate.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, because we didn't want to run 400 feet of extension cord. So we dragged the generator out there.
Is it a? I don't remember what brand it is.
We could go look. I could go.
No, we don't have time. I'll put it on here after. I don't remember what size it was.
It's relatively good size.
Common size. It's not nothing huge.
It's got wheels. It's like
probably
bigger
like
than a
3
microwave
feet by
oven.
2 feet.
Huh?
It's about the size of that thing, right? Half that. 3 feet long, maybe by like 2 feet high.
Yeah.
It's just a regular everyday generator.
I like
just
that it
happens to
runs
be
on
dual
propane because propane's nice and clean and doesn't. You don't have to like winterize it or drain it every time you use it or anything. You just hook up the bottle, start it up, do your thing, and
if you happen to run out of that, you can use gasoline.
Yep, you can pour gasoline in.
Whiskey.
Oh, I don't know about whiskey.
What would you rather do if whiskey could?
Yeah.
And you needed power, would you rather save the bottle of whiskey, or would you rather have power? It's a tough question.
Yeah, that is a tough question. What do I need the power for?
This is an end of the world scenario.
Do I need the power to keep my beer cold?
Oh.
Or do I need the power?
Do you need to drink cold beer? Does your beer have to be cold?
Yeah.
It does?
Oh, yeah. You kidding me? I keep
Really?
frosted mugs in the freezer.
You can't drink warm beer. I'm surprised. I thought you'd say, oh, I don't care.
I can if I go to Great Britain.
Yeah.
Which I don't.
All right. Any last words, Harry?
Oh, last words.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up now.
Was there one? There was some other question I thought I saw there that I wanted to get.
I think it's probably. You've answered all of them.
Oh, specific gauge of wire for grounding.
That might be the one we didn't.
We didn't.
Got 2 minutes.
But you got to. Okay, 2 minutes. There's safety grounds and then there's equipment grounds, and they're not the same thing. You got to look that up in the code, try to understand that. Here in this area, the soil is so dry. The code is 2 8-foot grounding rods, at least 8 feet apart, connected together.
Oh yeah,
buried in
rods.
The dirt.
Yeah.
with 8 gauge maybe wire. 4 or 8 gauge bare copper wire.
So that's what you did?
That's what I did. I drove.
Where did you get that? At Lowe's or Amazon?
Halls Hardware.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Halls.
Yeah.
And then anything metal gets connected to that. So if there's a lightning strike, it does go to ground. But then there's your equipment grounding, which connects to the neutral side of your system make sure that one side of your circuit doesn't end up like hundreds of volts above ground.
Okay.
Where you can, basically fry yourself. So
that would not be good.
So there's the two different things: the earth ground and the equipment ground. You got to look those up and try to understand them.
I'll have to look it up. I didn't know that.
So
all right. So that's it. Thanks, Harry, for coming out here. I hope we answered some questions. We'll do this again in January.
Yeah.
You'll be back like the first week of January? Do we know yet?
Probably the middle. Probably the middle of January.
Mid-January. And
Depends
you'll come
on
back.
a lot of stuff.
You're going to finish the kitchen.
Yeah,
maybe it's all finishing work now at this point.
Right. So we might move on to the next most important thing, like a bedroom door.
Yeah, that could be important. Well, in a 2-bedroom, in a 2-room place, it's not that important. But
well, no, but it's the reason it's important because the door's been laying on the floor in there and taking up space for like a year and a half.
All right. Yeah, we'll get that done. Well, have a safe trip back.
6
and
a.m.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you have a chance, if you are watching this later, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe. Like I said, we've got a few different things coming up in the next few months. And and it'll be more here on the farm, all off-grid stuff. So, and then every once in a while, we're going to meet with Harry and kind of see how things are going there. And we're going to plan some kind of video from New Hampshire, and maybe you can give us a little tour, or maybe you can record a tour and then send it to me, and I can go ahead and put it up on the channel. We'll do something like that. So anyways, just subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Have a good one.
Later.